what's up, you guys? This is Rob from Gay Guy Plays, and today on the Snapshot, you know, DE got me all kinds of fucked up with the Zakti. I legitimately made a video and uploaded it and was ready to make a thumbnail for the best secondaries to dual wield with in-game, and then they had to release this one, and this is pretty fucking badass. Now stick around and we'll take a look at why. Now you can pick up the Zakti's blueprint in the Tenno lab of your clan dojo after you've completed the appropriate research. However, if you cannot wait to get your hands on its sexy ass and that sexy ass ribbon, it is available in the market pre-built along with the weapon slot and catalyst for 190 plat. It's also available in the Guandao collection for 345, and that comes with accessories and also another weapon, but you know what, that is all up to you, baby. Now the Zakti is a projectile semi-automatic pistol that fires off an explosive dart. The dart itself only deals impact and puncture damage, however it will attach itself to enemies and other terrain. After a short delay, the dart will explode in a 4-meter range, dealing gas damage to surrounding enemies and staggering them, leaving them open to melee finishers. So one of the things to note about this weapon is the fact that while the explosion itself is gas-based, it is not a gas proc and does not innately poison enemies. However, due to its respectable base status chance, you can push this thing up to 80% with only 2 elemental status mods. The resulting explosion will also pull in those elements, allowing you to create eruptions of corrosive, or radiation, or viral, or whatever element you decide to slot in. Now, as for the build, it's actually all pretty standard with a focus in status. I've actually got 3 status elemental mods in there right now that push this thing up to 90%, which means that that explosive cloud that it emits at the end is going to be dealing a lot of whatever I've put in. And in this case, I've actually slotted in a lot of corrosive damage, and that's mainly because we're going to go up against Billies, and Billies need to have their armor shredded. I've also tossed in a Scorch just because, I don't know, I wanted 90% instead of 80%. That's just my feels. If that's not a matter to you, you could actually slot in something a little bit different, either for more damage or whatnot. Also note that I've slotted in 2 90% elementals, and the big reason for that is I really wanted to shift the gas plume that explodes out of it into corrosive, because I really wanted to make sure that we stripped out armor. I mean, Toxin is great and all with all of the gas procs, but legitimately it does not bypass armor. Some people, I don't know why, some people have it in their heads that it bypasses armor. It does not, it only bypasses shields. Now clearly you could slot in something like primed heated charge if you wanted a little bit more damage instead, which is completely fine, but I really wanted this to focus on corrosive. Now if you were going to go up against other enemies, kind of like the Corpus, you could go ahead and make like a whole gas and magnetic based version of this, which will work out fantastically, and the same thing goes for the infested. So I mean, you could just make a gas version of this if you're trying to take out the ground troops, but of course corrosive is always great for the heavy hitters out there. But this is just what I'm using. Feel free to tweak your elemental combos to work for you in whatever situation that you're going to be around in. But let's go ahead and take a look at this in action. Alright, so one of the new additions in the most recent patch is actually this cool bar down here. I want to make sure that you guys realize that I have not missed this completely, but I'm actually hitting pause AI, and there's a good reason for it. Now, let's go ahead and jump in here real quick, and we're going to show how this works on Billy. So one of the big issues for me here is because of the fact that he does so much waggling around, it's hard to get consistent headshots. And I mean, the explosions themselves kind of, you know, will target heads anyway. Now, I am firing pretty slow, as you guys know, and that's mainly because of the fact that this thing's got a ridiculous kickback. But it's still a pretty decent weapon all in all. Like, this thing can still shred through the armor of multiple enemies, and that's something to keep in mind. The fact that it can actually hit multiple enemies at once. But, you know, for demonstration purposes, I kind of wanted to isolate one real quick. Look at just how he, like, waggles all over the place. So I'm gonna try to, like, just go in on a full, like, just unloading on this guy. This thing only has a magazine of 3, which is also a little bit problematic. So that's kind of like one of the negatives to it, because you're going to be reloading this thing fairly frequently. However, it is not terrible because its reload speed is actually decent. Now, one of the great things about the pause AI feature is it allows me to demonstrate the next thingamabobber that's coming up. So one of the things that we've been talking about is the fact that this can actually open enemies up to melee finishers. So that makes it absolutely fantastic for dual wielding, because of the fact that you can literally just go in there, kind of toss out these gas clouds and also kind of incorporate in some finishing moves. Now, if I'm going to be completely honest with you, I don't want to say that this would have made the list, but that synergy on its own kind of would give it a, what is it called, an honorable mention. I feel like that is so freaking interesting. Like, I wouldn't have thought, like, when this initially came out, by the way, I want to thank YouTube comments because, you know, it's not all toxic and evil all the time. Someone actually pointed it out to me in the comments and I was like, what? Y'all are really trying to push this whole melee synergy thing, aren't you? And I'm kind of in love with the fact that that is a feature of this weapon. It makes it really unique, it makes it really different, and while I want to say it is a little bit unwieldy to kind of use it, you know, because of the recoil and the head waggling and all of that kind of hullabaloo does make it a little bit difficult to use sometimes, but incorporating in that finisher mechanic can be absolutely fantastic, and I'm sure there can be like builds made around this, you know? It's just so unique and it's so different that it's kind of like, could we do something with that? Alright, so before we move along, I actually wanted to kind of show this off and how this works with multiple enemies in one place. As you can see, even though this guy fucking staggers left, right, and center, it works really, really well at hitting multiple targets and stripping them of their armor. So here's the thing. While it may not be the most powerful weapon on the block, it's got some utility to it. So it's a cool, weird, like, utility, offensive, melee mix that is very different from other weapons. I was gonna fall, but it's okay, we're alright. Well, that it can also do that. Now, it's true power, knocking enemy off terrain, and boom, you are done. So all in all, I have to admit that the Zakti kind of did get me a bit fucked up. There was some research that I had to go in and kind of like playtest a couple things to see exactly how it worked out, but in the end it made for a very, very interesting weapon. And this is kind of one of those things that like resonates with me. I always feel as a veteran that I've seen everything, that we've done everything, and D pulls out something like this and I'm like, y'all got me. Y'all got me. Now we have a dart pistol that has a little too much recoil. I'm gonna put that out there into the universe because that's a lot of recoil on this weapon. That can stagger a group of enemies in an area, leaving them open to melee finishers. And that works so well with the new kind of like dual wielding system that I'm just kind of like shocked and amazed. And it's just like, DE, I would have never thought about this. And I know it sounds like I'm kissing some ass, but you guys know that I love weird mechanics on things. And this is not a mechanic that I asked for. This is not a mechanic that I thought of. But clearly DE had some kind of like cards up their sleeve. I didn't even expect for this weapon bundle to come out, to be honest with you. I thought that they had teased everything at TennoCon and we were just going to wait for all of that shit to release. And now we've got this gorgeous weapon, which, by the way, I'm going to point this out real quick. That ribbon that is on that weapon is actually on a separate channel, so you can color that ribbon whatever the fuck you want without messing with the rest of the gun. It's like DE had some coffee and they were thinking and they made this, and I think that it is absolutely fantastic. Of course, you know, there are some drawbacks, like I was saying. We're gonna point out the recoil again. However, the weapon itself is really, really fun to use. There's a lot of cool creative things that you can do with it. Maybe you kind of want to use that condition overload build with the glaive, you know, and then toss down clouds of like radiation, which will attract enemies close together or some shit like that. So now you have radiation status on there. Maybe even toss in some viral, and then be able to have like your slash build glaive on there, like go off on enemies. I don't know. There's just so many synergies that can be pulled out with this weapon that I find to be absolutely amazing. It's like, y'all had, you know, because there are some weapons that I'm like, you didn't put any effort into this. You can tell that there was some thought put into this weapon, and it's absolutely fantastic, and I kind of love it. So those are the facts and figures. Those are some of my opinions. If you want to stick around for more opinions, we're going to go ahead and jump into the gameplay. Alright, so if I'm going to be completely honest with you, this is legit attempt number 7 at recording the gameplay portion of this video. Honestly, I never have any issues, but today just seems to be like the day for shit to go awry. And I do not know who, what, where, when, or why. But legitimately, it seems like everything just wants to go to utter crap today. First, there was like some connection issues. Then after that, I don't know what the hell was going on with some people and their builds in like Kuva Floods. Can I just tell you right now, if anybody ever tells you that you don't need survivability mods, you look, I mean, listen, I understand everybody can build any way that they want to, you know, but if you're dying consistently, you might want to rethink what's going on with your build, because it's not working for you. Alright, if you got one of those friends that insist they don't need a survivability mod but they're dying every 2 seconds, you might want to question your friendship with them. I'm just letting you know that right now. And then I also actually was just playing this mission, and because of the fact that I got so caught up in this conversation that we were having, that legitimately I actually let the capture target escape because I was so focused on all of my ranting and raving about all of the bullshit that had happened earlier that honestly I pretty much kind of forgot what was going on with all of this. So not a good day for the gameplay portion of this bit. Usually it's a lot easier to record, but the universe clearly did not want that for me today. However, I did want to chat about some of the really cool things about this weapon. Now, one of the things that I kind of just feel like I just shot him in the butt. That's one of the great things about projectile weapons that attach themselves to enemies, is literally you can see where they attach themselves to, and sometimes they get attached to in the butt. And it makes for a hilarious time. Just let me melee finisher you. Come on, it's been a long day. Yes! The universe does love me. There you go. And the one thing that I wanted to point out with that specific mechanic is we've got this weapon that's fantastic for clearing out a crowd, right? Like, literally, look, we just cleared out a crowd, and anything left is gonna be staggered. Like, that's some really cool synergy right there, right? It's like, oh, okay, well, you know, we have this thing that's made to clear out a group of enemies, but anything that's too big that you can't clear out ASAP, if you've got a quick eye and you're able to move fast enough, you'll be able to ooh, I'm clipping through walls. You'll be able to hit them with this gas cloud that stuns them and allows you to use melee finishers on them to finish them off. And I think that that's super smart. I really didn't even think about that as I was like writing the review out until I was doing the gameplay portion, which just goes to show that, you know, sometimes after you're done doing your whole reviews and stuff, and when you're actually playing is when you get all of the cool informationes and you feel a little bit better about yourself, right? So let me go ahead and do this and see if I can't get myself a couple more cool staggers in here, because legitimately that's what it's all about, right? Yes, from behind. Because that's the thing with infested, is a lot of them you can only actually finish off from behind. You can't finish the infested guys from the front. Let's do it again. Oh, no, he's just dead. And that's the issue with this weapon, is it's fantastic, but if you want the finishers to go on, you have to go into some higher level stuff in order to kind of get them to trigger, because of the fact that you kill them so fast. You kill them so fast with just the main part of the weapon. I think the only real downside to this is the recoil and the magazine size, but I guess it's a good trade-off when you think about it. You're clearing out groups of enemies. Where do you want me to go? You're clearing out groups of enemies, but you're also staggering, you know, those single targets, and you get some nice synergy with dual wielding. Well, not really dual wielding. You can do this even without dual wielding. It's not really that big a deal, but I just feel like it kind of has this cool, like, it kind of has this cool, like, melee weapon synergy, which is like, you know, kind of like, which goes with the dual wielding. You know? Oh my god, just let me finish you. Seriously. That sounds like a couple weekends ago. Let's see. See? Look at that. Oh, boom, boom, and you're down, and you're down. Any remaining targets, and oh, they're finished. I do have all of the reactant that I need, so I could leave right now. But let me just finish off this group right here. It's a fun weapon, and even though, like, you know, for like higher level targets, you know, you kind of want to, you know, pump in a whole bunch into the group, and you do get that crappy recoil. At the same time, you know, once everything goes off, it can clear out a lot. Whoop. Oh, gotcha. Oh, I should have gone in for a finisher there. No! And then sometimes enemies do that, where they literally just ground slam, and because of the fact that they've got their own abilities to stop your animations from going off, then you don't get the finisher as much. But as you can see here, you know, we're doing some decent leveled stuff in the star chart, and it was able to hold its own. Was a lot of fun in the Kula Flood. You do have to fire it off a little bit more when you are doing Kula Flood stuff. But that's pretty much it, I guess, for my feelings for the Zakti. Really, really fun weapon. I think that it's really well thought out. I'm glad that a beautiful weapon was also able to get some mechanics to kind of go along with it, because that's always been one of those things. Like when I was talking about the Stradivar before, I'm like, oh, it's so pretty, but it's just not good enough. Even after it's buff, I'm still not impressed. But that about does it for this weapon. Go ahead and let me know how you feel about the cool synergies about it below. Wow, the words, listen. It's been a long, hard day trying to get everything recorded, so please pardon me if I'm a little stuttery towards the end of this. But yeah, let me know how you feel about the finisher mechanic being tied into a little explosiones that's happening at the end. Let me know how you feel about a gas cloud that can corrode enemies, groups of enemies, in fact. Yeah, just put that in the comments below, and if you're really feeling that ribbon like I'm feeling that ribbon, and the fact that it's on a separate channel, ooh, I'm still into it, DE. I'm still feeling that. But as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your body. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.